The biggest lie about money is not that it is hard to earn. The biggest lie is that the system is fair. From the time most people are children, they are taught a simple formula. Study hard, get good grades, find a stable job, work for 40 years, save a little, retire comfortably. It sounds reasonable. It sounds safe. And for decades, millions of people believed it without question. But something strange has been happening. People with good degrees are struggling to pay rent. Families with two incomes still feel financially trapped. Workers who did everything they were told are discovering that retirement is slipping further away every year. Meanwhile, another group of people seems to be playing a completely different game. They build wealth faster. They recover from losses quicker. And they somehow turn opportunities into money again and again. So what is going on? The uncomfortable truth is that most people were not taught how money actually works. They were taught how to participate in the system, but not how to understand it. And once you see the real rules, you start noticing something that changes everything. Money is not just about working harder. It is about understanding the game. Think about how the average person earns money. They trade time for income. A job gives them a paycheck. The more hours they work, the more they earn. It feels logical because effort is directly connected to reward. But here is the hidden problem. Time is limited. No matter how ambitious someone is, there are only 24 hours in a day. Once those hours are sold, the earning potential stops growing. This is why millions of people hit a financial ceiling. They work harder, take on more responsibilities, maybe even get promotions. But the structure never really changes. They are still selling time, and time is the most limited resource they have. Now look at how wealth is actually built. The people who accumulate significant money rarely rely only on income from work. Instead, they use systems that continue generating money even when they are not actively working. Businesses operate while the owner sleeps. Investments grow without daily effort. Digital products sell automatically. Assets appreciate over time. At first, this sounds almost unfair, but it is simply a different approach to money. The first system rewards effort. The second system rewards ownership. And once you understand that difference, you start noticing something fascinating. Most schools never teach it. Education systems around the world are designed to produce skilled workers. They teach mathematics, science, history, and language. Those subjects are valuable. They shape knowledge and critical thinking. But financial systems are rarely explained. Students graduate knowing how to solve complex equations, yet many do not understand compound growth, asset ownership, or how debt can be used strategically. As a result, people enter adulthood prepared to earn money but not prepared to grow it. That gap quietly shapes financial outcomes for millions. Pause for a second and ask yourself something interesting. If the traditional path truly worked perfectly, why are so many people financially stressed even after years of hard work? That question alone has made countless people rethink what they were taught. And when they begin exploring the real mechanics of money, a pattern appears. Money follows attention and value creation, not just effort. This explains why certain industries create enormous wealth while others remain stagnant. Technology companies, for example, can reach billions of users with relatively small teams. Digital platforms scale in ways that traditional jobs cannot. One software product can be sold millions of times without recreating it each time. That is the power of scalability. And it is one of the biggest reasons wealth has become more concentrated in modern economies. But there is another layer to this story that is even more surprising: the relationship between money and inflation. For decades, people believed that saving money alone was the safest strategy. Put cash in the bank, earn interest, and let time do the rest. But the economic environment has changed dramatically. Inflation quietly reduces the purchasing power of money every year. Prices rise while cash remains static. Imagine saving money for 10 years only to discover that it buys less than it did before. That is not because you made a mistake. It is because the financial system rewards assets more than it rewards savings. Assets such as businesses, real estate, stocks, and productive investments tend to rise alongside economic growth. Cash, on the other hand, slowly loses value when inflation accelerates. Once you see this dynamic, the logic behind wealth building becomes clearer. The goal is not just to accumulate money. The goal is to own things that grow. This is one of the reasons global markets have become so important in the modern economy. Through stock exchanges and investment platforms, individuals can participate in the growth of companies around the world. A single investment can represent ownership in technology firms, infrastructure, or global supply chains. It is a powerful concept. Instead of working for money alone, your money begins working for you. Now here is something even more interesting. Technology has quietly changed access to wealth-building tools. Decades ago, investing required brokers, large amounts of capital, and complex paperwork. Today, digital platforms allow people to start with relatively small amounts. The barriers that once separated financial elites from ordinary investors have started to shrink. But access alone does not guarantee success. Understanding risk, patience, and long-term thinking becomes essential. And this is where many people make another critical mistake. They treat investing like gambling. They chase short-term trends. They react emotionally to market movements. They panic during downturns and buy during hype cycles. History shows that this behavior rarely leads to sustainable wealth. Markets reward discipline more than excitement. The individuals who succeed often focus on consistent strategies over long periods of time. They understand something simple but powerful. Wealth usually grows quietly. It is not always dramatic or fast. But over time, the effects become extraordinary. This idea is closely connected to one of the most misunderstood forces in finance: compound growth. At first glance, compound growth seems slow. The early years show modest progress. But as time continues, the numbers begin to accelerate. Growth builds on previous growth, creating a powerful snowball effect. Many of the world's richest investors emphasize patience for this exact reason. They know that time can transform ordinary investments into remarkable outcomes. But patience is difficult in a culture that celebrates instant success. Social media often highlights rapid wealth stories, luxury lifestyles, and overnight entrepreneurs. Those stories attract attention, but they rarely reflect the full reality behind financial success. Behind most lasting fortunes is a long period of experimentation, failure, learning, and adaptation. That is the part people do not see, and yet, it is the most important part. Here is a thought that might change how you look at money forever. Financial freedom is not only about how much you earn. It is about how much control you have over your time. A person earning a high salary but working exhausting hours may feel trapped. Meanwhile, someone with moderate income but strong asset ownership might have far greater flexibility. The difference lies in structure. One person relies entirely on active work. The other has systems that support them. Once people recognize this distinction, their priorities begin to shift. They start asking different questions. Instead of asking how to get a higher salary, they ask how to create assets. Instead of asking how to save more, they ask how to invest smarter. Instead of chasing status, they pursue independence. And that mindset shift is where real financial transformation begins. Now consider the world economy in recent years. Technological innovation, artificial intelligence, digital finance, and global connectivity are reshaping how money moves. Entire industries are evolving faster than ever before. Entrepreneurs can launch global businesses from a laptop. Creators can build audiences of millions online. Investors can analyze markets with tools that were once reserved for professionals. Opportunities have expanded dramatically. But so have distractions. The challenge today is not lack of information. It is learning which information actually matters. The truth about money is not hidden in secret formulas. It is hidden in simple principles that are often ignored. Ownership matters more than labor alone. Patience beats impulsive decisions. Assets grow while idle cash slowly weakens. Skills that create value will always attract money. And understanding the system is far more powerful than blindly following it. At this point, some people begin to feel uncomfortable. Because once these ideas sink in, it becomes difficult to return to the old way of thinking. The traditional path suddenly feels incomplete. And that realization leads to a moment of choice. Some people ignore it and continue exactly as before. Others become curious. They start learning about investing, entrepreneurship, technology, and financial strategy. They read about economic history and study how wealth cycles evolve. They begin experimenting with ideas. And slowly their relationship with money changes. Not overnight, but steadily. Here is something fascinating about wealth. It often begins as a mindset shift long before it appears in a bank account. The moment someone starts thinking like an owner instead of only a worker, their decisions begin to evolve. They notice opportunities where others see risk. They think long-term when others chase short-term gains. They invest in skills, knowledge, and networks that compound over time. And eventually, those small changes create massive differences in outcomes. So when people say they were lied to about money, it does not mean that hard work has no value. Hard work still matters. But effort alone is not the entire equation. Understanding the system is the missing piece. And once you understand it, you begin to see money not as a mysterious force but as a predictable flow shaped by incentives, ownership, and time. Now let me ask you something that might stay in your mind long after this moment. What if the most important financial lesson was never about earning more money? What if it was about learning how money actually moves through the world? Because once you see those patterns, everything changes. Your goals change. Your decisions change. Even the way you define success begins to evolve. The people who quietly build wealth are not necessarily the smartest or the luckiest. They are often the ones who finally discovered the truth. Money was never just about working harder. It was about understanding the rules of the game that most people were never taught. And the moment you start learning those rules, you realize something powerful. The system may not be perfectly fair, but it is far more understandable than most people were led to believe. And understanding it might be the most valuable financial asset anyone can ever develop.